I mean, some of the folks that I've been having, we've been in sweats, drinking liquor, smoking weed, so it ain't nothing formal. We
I'm
just
at work
having
right
fun.
now, so it's just a little bit different.
You good, you good, you good. How you doing? It's good to see your face. I love them glasses. Wait a minute.
I don't even know where I got these from. Maybe Fashion Nova.
Those are too cute.
Thank you.
Love to see you. So I want to learn more about your background, you being in the scene, and even some of the conversations that we talked about at the panel. We're probably going to revisit some of those, and just see where things you think as a professional you want to take it to the next level for us as Chicagoans, but then also with the foundation that we have in Chicago, even though a lot of it is like undercover. So just those type of questions, we just gonna be shooting
Okay.
the breeze and asks and stuff. So I'll just get it started. Introduce yourself. Tell me what you do, how long you been in the industry, you're a rapper, singer, producer, what do you do?
My name is Day. I could go by Day or Love Day. Love Day is my DJ name. Hip hop artist primarily. The Great Thinkers, Mother Nature, Heavy Crowns, Jeff Koons, DJ Simba, and yeah, I work in the music and entertainment space. I've been working in it for a long time, just like I would say maybe like 10 years,
Okay.
maybe 10 plus years, I would say. And just doing like different, venue stuff, box office, show marketing, you name it. I feel like I've done pretty much everything.
Okay. Well, that's
So,
good to know because I actually just was it last week I think it was I interviewed Rockmore, part of the
okay,
Great Thinkers. So yeah, I
no,
definitely know him. We go way, 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 way back in some
that's crazy.
years. So certainly happy to hear that you're part of that family and bringing it all together. So tell me actually a little bit more about the Great Thinkers and what y'all are doing in the Chicago scene because he did talk about the Houston scene and what they're doing down there. But
hmm
what are you guys doing specifically for Chicago?
Side, I actually have a creative agency called 3V Agency, with Kat Sanchez, who was my partner, my business partner, but she didn't come to the panel that we had way back when. But yeah, our creative agency specializes in talent and brand representation, and the Great Thinkers is like one of our primary clients. So we've been working with them. We've been working with Mother Nature. One part of the Great Thinkers for 10 years, basically,
Okay.
since we got started. Um, and they all have their own, individual artistry, career paths, and what have you. I think what we really liked about the Great Thinkers is each artist also had a brand or like a communal aspect that they were, just giving back with. So I
Mhm.
know Rockmore, he has kinetic vibes. He also is an artist educator. Mother Nature, they have the Miseducation of Hip Hop. They
Right.
do like hip hop workshops and what have you. And Jeff Koons, he's here, which is kind of like a
Yeah.
twist on the sip and paint, but a little bit
Mhm.
more, conversational, and just like relationship building. Heavy Crowns, he's super in community. He works at IEI, which is a super dope nonprofit in Inglewood,
Okay.
and he has this whole brand of just like teaching people how to farm, how to eat healthy and drink alkaline water and things like that. So um, Great Sky, I don't even think I mentioned him, but he has a juice brand,
Okay.
and he has like organic juices and smoothies, teaching people the healing properties of different fruits and vegetables. um, Sympathy is also an artist educator. He does hip hop workshops, also a mentee of Mother Nature. And so, yeah, they all literally are just like big artist educator vibes.
Okay.
And that's pretty much like what drew us to them. Just because it's like they have something to talk about and something to share to their listeners. And as a collective, they host the Great Cipher, which
Mm-hmm.
Rockamore probably told you about.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the Great Cipher, it's been expanding. We wanted to expand even more and do it in different states and different cities, but primarily it's been here in Chicago and out there in Houston. It's a space for creatives that sing, rap, dance, produce. You come, and you just express yourself. It's not like a super curated cipher, but we do expect everybody that participates to have, high quality
Right.
artistry. Yeah.
You got to come correct.
Yeah. And they feel that, when they get in the space and, they see real spitters are, going crazy. So they know you gotta have the bars.
Okay. I love that the fact that, like you said, you guys are bringing multiple crafts to the table, different extensions of what hip hop and education, community work and stuff, what that looks like. So I love that. So are there specific age groups that you guys work with, or is it just come one, come all?
Um, there are different demographics for sure. I think each program is like tailored to who we're talking to. So like
Hmm.
Mother Nature can do a workshop for, youth, or they can do a workshop for college students, or they can do a workshop for like peers. They've done workshops with even like educators, like teaching
Okay.
them how to teach in the vein of, hip hop. And same thing with Think and Paint, same thing with Kinetic Vibes. Our agency, we actually are more so like, I would say on the business side of things.
Okay.
And like we recently, I'll say formalized, because we've been doing it, we've recently formalized how we present music business workshops
Okay.
as an agency. And our target audience is literally just like college students and people in the entertainment industry.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think it just depends on which brand and who's the audience.
Okay, I love to hear that the fact that you're keeping that arm within the community because I know for artists specifically, and I've had my challenges with this as well, going between the business and the artistry side of things. So the fact that your guys are helping the artists, but also allowing them to stay as artists, that's that's an amazing thing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I love
It's a
that.
beautiful thing.
So going back to what we initially had talked about at the panel, talk about because I've heard this so many different times, particularly when folks mention um, the aspect of young folks not being into the blues and how for the most part, we as a community, depending upon who you ask, of course, but those that are knowledgeable about the genre, knowledgeable about our history and stuff, know that hip hop is just an extension of the blues as well. So, how can your particular collective and people that you're working with for the younger generation who feel that there's a disconnect? How can you guys unify and bring it all together to basically tell the history story in a different mindset?
I think I would have to think about how directly, tangibly we would be able to do that. But my immediate thought is just like, having the conversations, which,
Mhm.
you're already starting that for sure. And just giving the history of where it comes from. A lot of young people aren't even studying the history of hip hop. So it's kind of like
Yes.
getting them even to that point and then breaking it down to where all the other black sounds, black music is coming from.
Hmm.
Because yeah, I feel like for me, I had grandparents who, exposed me to a lot of blues, a lot of soul, a lot of funk, and it kind of just blended for me. And, as a DJ, I can go and listen to a song and be like, I know exactly what that sample is. Like, that's a
Yeah.
James Brown sample, or that's but not everybody's going to know that because, the exposure, growing up and listening to those type of songs or that type of music. But I feel like it starts with the conversations. I think hip hop is heavy in sample culture, which that could
Hmm.
be a fun way to just introduce it to kids or youth or whoever the audience is, because I think it's kind of like a trivia or like a bingo or a aha moment when,
Right.
you hear a song and you're like, man, this sounds so familiar. And I want to see, where it came from. So I think that could be a cool interactive way to do something like that. And yeah, just having more conversations, sharing documentaries, things like that. Those would be my immediate thoughts.
Okay. No, that works. That's enough to start with. So I completely can dig that. In your years of experience in the industry, what are your views and perspective about women in the culture and the challenges that women have faced in the industry, and their expectations of us, which may be different than if we were to, for example, to do the same thing that the guys are doing, but we are perceived and told something differently. What are your thoughts about that?
You're referring to blues or just like in the music
In
industry?
the music industry, period.
Um, okay, ask me one more time.
What's
I
your
feel like that
thoughts
was a lot.
on your years of being in the industry, on the both as an artist person, being a DJ, but then also on the professional side, being the business aspect. What are your thoughts of women in the industry and the expectations of us as women?
Yeah. I think there's definitely layers to that because I feel
Hmm.
like even as a black woman, I have, a little bit more limitations than, you know, a woman that's not of color, that may be in a music industry space. And I've seen that just by, being in certain leadership roles and I'm the only person that's a black woman, or I might be the only black person in general sometimes. Never directly like we're trying to keep you out or like, it's never direct. It's just like you walk into a room and you stand out, it's not
Right.
like that. So for me, I kind of just had to observe that and like not take it any kind of way and just be like, okay, I need to use this to my advantage. And really just, do well and make sure that I'm working hard and make sure that I'm having conversations with people so that they don't feel like there's a barrier between us or like we're
Hmm.
different or we don't have anything to relate to. Because that's just not true. Like music is a universal language and a lot of the music that we listen to is very similar. So
Yeah.
um I would say that from the business side, for sure. And then just like women that are artists and entertainers, yeah, I think it is harder, because you just have a lot that you have to keep up with, and being an artist is super expensive. It's not really
Yes.
something that you get a good return of investment on until you're famous or you're
Hmm.
traveling or what have you. And so just like things like that, I'm like, man, I want to keep my hair a certain way or keep my nails and style
Hmm.
myself a certain way. And, don't let it get to the point where you have a kid. I know many women that literally just either chose not to have kids or literally just like it wasn't an option for them. Like,
Correct.
if you did get pregnant, it's kind of like your career is over, like
Hmm.
it's going to stop you type of thing. So I do think that we're moving in a time where, people are more receptive and more understanding of that. I've seen women taking their kids on tour and, being able to find people to babysit when you have a
Right.
show or what have you. And so I think that it's definitely just acknowledging that it's different and that it's a little bit more challenging in that sense. Like a man can go on tour and just,
And be
his
gone for
kid,
forever.
yeah, his kid is going to be taken care of with the mom or whomever. So it's kind of
Yeah.
just a different situation. But yeah, I think women just have to be a little bit more present and prepared for those situations. And I think that people are, accepting that in this new era, if you will.
Okay. So tell me, how did you get into the industry? How did you come about with DJing and finding your niche? How did you figure this out for yourself?
So I've always wanted to DJ for sure since I was like in high school. And I think I actually started during the pandemic because, it happened to everybody. Like
Had to find a
everybody
new hobby.
had to find a new hobby, lost their jobs, what have
Yeah.
you. And it just kind of stuck with me. And I feel like I even have those battles of like, okay, do I want to be like a famous DJ or do I want to just, play music and, do my own thing? But then I'll get a cool opportunity. I'm like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
presented in a way that feels like, okay, I'm pursuing this as a career.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that is just literally has always been a passion of mine. I think that well, I know when I got started in the music industry for sure, I was in college. I was working, I was interning at the Canopy Club
Okay.
in Champaign at U of I. And just started doing like ticket counts for the venue, like taking them to different restaurants and what have you, and
Okay.
then switching out posters, like very little stuff. And then I ended up getting my first job with them, working in the box office, working the shows, checking people in, what have you. And that translated over to, when I came to Chicago, I would work at like a Concord. I would work at different festivals, a
Okay.
Pitchfork, a North Coast. I worked. My first festival was Summer Camp Music Festival,
Okay.
which was like a indie type festival out in the middle of nowhere in Illinois. But it just gave me, experience and opportunity to
Okay.
say like, hey, I've been doing this because it's different when you go to a U of I versus like a Columbia or like a
Yes.
music
Yeah.
creative school because those
Yeah.
kids are like the first people they choose to work those festivals. And
Hmm.
proud to say that like I was able to navigate my way through that by going to a PWI. And then bringing it full circle and working in music and entertainment here in the city. So
Okay. That's a good start. So you've been around. You put you had your blood put into
I
this.
know it sneaks up fast. I'm like, damn, I guess it has been 10 years, huh?
Wow. 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 So what's for you for the future? What do you see yourself doing in the future?
I would love for my agency to um I would love for all the artists to one have just sustainable careers, all the
Hmm.
artists that we work with. And I would love for my agency to be just like a pillar in Chicago, um, putting Chicago on the map as far as,
That's what's up.
a renowned space or, just a industry city, just like LA is or New York,
Hmm.
Atlanta. And I feel like sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. But, there aren't many labels here. There aren't many agents here. There aren't
Right.
many, distro platforms here. And so I think, trying to build those relationships from Chicago
Yeah.
and branch out, bring them here, I want that to be kind of like my legacy in the city for sure.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Because knowing the politics of Chicago, especially in the industry, it can be challenging, but just keeping it moving forward and remembering, your outcome and your task that you set at hand. So I love what you guys are doing. I certainly anything that I can do to help and help navigate that. I'm trying to bring y'all overseas. Forget Chicago. I love Chicago, but I'm trying to bring
Look,
y'all
Rock,
overseas.
Rock
Uh,
Warren, he loves to travel.
I know he came to Italy when I was doing the hip hop summit when I did over that. He came over there and performed, and then also helped. He did a workshop for the students, so it was a good
That's
experience.
dope.
But I want to do that more with artists and people like yourselves, because not only are we looking at it in the aspect of our history trying to be erased, but the legacy that Chicago has, just period, that a lot of people don't know. And like you said, folks think to LA or even Atlanta, but Chicago got some roots that folks don't know
Hmm.
about.
No,
So,
for sure. Many
mhm.
roots, a lot of our music has, traveled to those places. So,
Yeah.
somebody has to tell those stories. And I feel like there are people in the city that are, I feel like that's a common just like misconception that nobody's doing that work. Like,
Hmm.
we have closed sessions who, Mother Nature is signed to, and they're an independent label that's been forever, putting Chicago on the map. Classic Studios, which is, he's worked with so many big artists. He's worked with Smino, SZA,
Yeah.
Chance, you name it. And now that he's getting into the space of creating his own label, it's kind of like, okay, we're creating that ecosystem for sure.
Yeah.
So,
So I love it. I love to hear that. But thank you again for your time. I told you I was going to keep you to 30 minutes, and I
oh,
keep my
thank you. I'm
promises.
worried.
No, ma'am. When I say I'm gonna keep you to 30 minutes, I'm gonna keep you to 30 minutes. But no, I would love to do this again with you, because I love the work that you guys are doing. And the fact that you as a woman are doing it in the industry, because I certainly want to convey to young folks that there's so many, excuse me, aspects of the industry, not just being behind a mic and on stage. And you just have to find the thing that you love and the passion that you have to keep it moving. So we gonna have a conversation again. We gonna do
For
this
sure.
again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Thank
thank
you
you
for
again,
thinking of
man.
me and
Of, of course. Of course,
keeping
of
me
course.
focused because I know I be everywhere doing everything. So thank you for real following up and just making sure we had this conversation. I definitely appreciate
Yes, indeed. All right.
it.
So you enjoy the rest of your day, ma'am.
You too. I'll
All
talk to
right,
you
take care.
soon.
Okay, bye-bye.